Hey, what's up guys? It's Jabber Gaming Jaws here again, bringing you another video. Wanted to talk about the history of gaming for me, my own personal video gaming history, how it started, where it's gone, the early years, if you will. So my gaming history starts when I was about 3 or 4 years old. I'm not exactly sure which age I was exactly, but it was right around that time. I remember we were living in the first house that I ever lived in, and I have this flashbulb memory. This memory is probably my earliest memory of life, or maybe, you know, like right in there with them. I really can't remember anything else in my life before this. I was sitting on the carpet in front of the TV. We had a huge old tube television, you know, with the wood frame around it. It was really sweet, really heavy. Anyways, I was sitting on the carpet with my dad, and he had his Atari 2600, which had the wood panel on it and all that stuff. And I can so distinctly remember seeing the console sitting there, having the joystick with the red button, and the TV playing Space Invaders. It was the only time that I remember seeing that console, playing it. We never had it out otherwise that I can remember, unless I'm just so young that, you know, I'm just remembering that specific time for some reason. But I've always thought that it's kind of cool that my dad had that, and that I got to play that day, and I'll just never forget it. It was really, really awesome. And I think that it's interesting that it stuck out to me so much. It was one of those experiences that like really meant something. It really hit me hard. You know, obviously after all these years, I can still so distinctly remember all of it. You know, so games obviously affected me a lot different than they did a lot of my friends or family or a lot of other people I know. I know a lot of people, you know, growing up as a kid, lots of people like video games, and you know, that's great and everything. For me, it was always more. It was more than what everybody else liked it. Not everybody. There are obviously a lot of other people that love video games just as much as I do, if not more. But for me, in my own personal bubble, in my own social circle, I always felt like other people just didn't quite get it to the level that I did. So anyways, moving forward, I never played anything else until I remember being at my cousin's home, the Humphreys, and they had a Sega Genesis. Never heard of it before. I didn't know anything about it, but my dad was playing it, and he was actually like really interested in it and into it, and we were playing Sonic, and we were all trying it. And I think it was maybe my cousin Andy's console. He was a little bit older than me. He was probably like a teenager at the time, and I would imagine into Sega Genesis at the time. And we played Sonic and just had such a blast. And I think at the time, too, it must have just really been mind-blowing to see graphics like that. So my dad, anyways, somehow decided that we should all have a Sega Genesis, and we ended up having one. And that console we played on for so many years of my childhood. I remember that so vividly, just so many memories, so much time. Here are some of the highlights for me I thought I'd bring out. Of course, this is on anybody who owned a Sega Genesis, but Sonic the Hedgehog. I particularly loved number 2. It was really funny picking this game up again after probably 18 years that I hadn't played it, and I still know where every secret is, every secret passage, every secret life that's hidden in the game. I had played this so much that I just know way too much about it still to this day. I just go on instinct, and I know exactly where to go to find all the hidden everything. So that's really fun. It's been fun to play that again. One funny memory that I have of that game, there's this one spot where you're under the water, and Sonic is trying to breathe, you know, and he starts like bump, 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 you know, it gets really fast, the music, and the numbers start counting down 3, 2, 1, 0, and if it gets to the 0, then Sonic dies. You know, he doesn't have air. So I remember as a kid playing that part, and I was just freaking out. I was like pissed off, I was mad, I was stressed, I was a wreck. I was like, just going crazy because Sonic was about to die. And so my mom, she's like, if that game's going to stress you out that much, I don't think you need to be playing it anymore. And man, did I do a 180. I was like, no. And I just was like, oh man, it's so chill, it's all cool. And the next time I got to that level, he died, and I just let him die. And I'm like, yeah, see, no big deal. Well, it's funny. I think it's funny. I was so petrified that she was going to make me stop playing Sonic. So scared to death about that. That would have been horrible. So, that's one funny memory that I have. A couple other games that really were awesome on the Sega Genesis was Barkley, Shut Up and Jam. This game was just awesome. I actually hate sports games for the most part. I like some extreme sports games, but as far as basketball, football, whatever, never been into them. But Barkley, Shut Up and Jam on the Sega Genesis, I absolutely loved. It was 2-on-2 street ball. Charles Barkley was the only known person in the game. Everybody else was Spike and I don't even know all these urban crazy names, and it was just really, really fun. They all had tattoos and earrings and stuff that just seemed really super edgy to me when I was a little kid. And you could punch each other in the game and steal the basketball, and it was just so much fun. We would all play that. We would play 2-on-2, 1-on-1, whatever. It was a 2-player game, so we would do that, or 1 player. It was whatever. Really, really fun. Another game that's really cool, I didn't get into this as much as my siblings did when I was younger, but I kind of wish that I had. Road Rash. This game is just sweet. I've been playing it a little bit lately just for fun. I mean, you're on a motorcycle, and you can punch the guys next to you. You're racing. Police officers come up, and you can punch them. You can steal their baton from them. I mean, it's just sweet. It's just really fun, old school arcade action. Good stuff. Really love that. So then, we had the Sega Genesis for a very, very long time. We ended up finally, it took a long time before I was able to get another console. I wanted another console for a long time. I think that my mom didn't want us, spending a whole bunch of time on video games, which you can't really blame her, when we're kids. That's fine, we should have been outside, which is what we did. We were always outside playing on the trampoline or riding our bikes or fishing or whatever. But I still wanted, oh my gosh, there was the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation. At the time, for whatever reason, I didn't like the Nintendo 64. I didn't grow up with Nintendo, so Nintendo didn't have some special place in my heart, and I didn't have this affinity towards it. For some reason, the PlayStation just, I wanted one so bad. I wanted one so bad. For so long, I wanted one so bad. We would play over at my friend's house. They had these wrestling games and just, stupid little games, but just to me it was amazing. It was all in 3D. It was just the controllers were, fancy and had little handles, and it was just so much beyond what I knew. Really, really cool. So eventually, when I was 11 years old, I think, I went over to my buddy Tyler Axon's house for his birthday party, and we were over there for the whole night playing Army Men 3D, which is a crappy game, but it was so much fun. It's little green army men, and you're playing capture the flag, shooting each other and stuff. Blast. And after that, my need for a PlayStation intensified insanely. And I remember talking with my mom, trying to talk her into it. Eventually, finally, I wore my folks down, and I was able to save up some money. I had to pay for it myself. I don't know what I was doing, shoveling or whatever I could possibly do to save up money for that console. So I was able to get one. I got a PlayStation. And I was playing crappy games. I bought Army Men 3D, but we loved it. We loved it. We had so much fun. And then something changed, and this is where gaming really changed for me. My sister at the time was dating her now husband, Ryan Thomas, and so he was in college. He was older than us, obviously. By the time he came around, I was probably like 12 or 13, something like that. But something humongous happened. He lent me 2 games. There were 2 games that he let me borrow that just completely changed gaming for me. This was the game changer. I've got those 2 games here. First, Metal Gear Solid, and second, Final Fantasy VII. Still, to this day, some of the best games I've ever played. I replay them from time to time. Absolutely have to. I mean, Final Fantasy VII, I became a proficient reader because of this game. This game was about, a 60-hour quest. My gosh, the characters, the villain, the story, oh man, it's so in-depth. The gameplay, the battling, it was like nothing I had ever seen before in my life. And it was all text-driven, so it's a 50-hour story given to you through text bubbles. I learned to read really well. It kind of blows me away, too, because at the time, even though I was so completely drawn into this, I had a really hard time playing for more than like a couple hours at a time. So this game probably took me like 3 or 4 months to, play all the way through, which is funny. Like, I didn't know, I had a hard time like keeping up with all the plot points. But at the same time, I didn't know everything that was happening, but I knew that what I was watching was epic. I knew that what I was experiencing was bigger than my brain was even able to comprehend. So that was huge for me. And, going back and playing through it again, there's still just, every time I, pick up new things and I see different parts of this character and that character and this interaction and that dynamic, and it really is just so incredible. I would love for everybody to experience that if they could. On the shorter side as far as gameplay hours, but not any less as far as the depth of the game, is Metal Gear Solid. The game starts out and you're kind of thinking that it's going to be like a slightly more serious James Bond type thing, and this game just takes you for such a freaking ride. I mean, like, the concepts in this game were just so far beyond me at the time, but again, just, it affected me. I knew this was something special. The main character, Solid Snake, was a clone of a, some excellent soldier, and he had to go through, this thing of being basically a weapon that is used by, whoever's in charge, and, he is not told really what's going on a lot of the time. He doesn't know anything other than being a soldier. There are just so many, the villains in that game blow my mind. Like, one thing that's really cool about the Metal Gear Solid games is that they go along and you think that everything is just like normal, like it's a normal world, like, physics all work the same, all the rules apply, and then out of nowhere you get blown away. Like, a character suddenly is floating in front of you, and that just blew me away. His name is Psycho Mantis, and to fight him, he's able to read your mind, and you're going crazy. You're like, I don't know how to beat this guy. He can read my mind. And then again, eventually you find out that you have to actually move the controller port from 1 to number 2. And then he starts yelling, I can't read your mind, what? And you're able to actually beat him. There were just so many gameplay elements that at the time I had never experienced, and they were so deep and so powerful to me, and they affected me hardcore, and the stories were just incredible, incredible, incredible. So that was really, really fun. I'm going to be doing more videos about gaming history, but I thought that right now I would just give a quick overview of the early years, which is basically me from my very first Atari memory through the PlayStation. And obviously there's a whole lot that I haven't touched on that maybe I'll get to in some other videos and I can go a little more in depth, but that brings us up to here. So stay tuned for the next one. Later.